ahead. Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, today's my debut channel, and today we're going to be talking about on a very important topic, which is regarding mental health. Sorry about the background noise. As you can see, I'm a bit nervous. This is my first time doing this, but yeah, we're going to dive deep into mental health. Why? It's not just regarding what's going on with the pandemic, how everybody's dealing with things, the after effects. We're talking about real life experience with mental health. And with me, I have a staring guest. And Musa, if you don't know about him, you're going to hear about him today. So let's welcome El Musa. I hope I said your name correctly.
You did, yeah, it's perfect. It's exactly how it sounds. Yes.
So how you doing today?
I'm doing well, man. I'm blessed. It's just been so much excitement lately, obviously with the project and everything. And then on a personal level, I'm starting to really see my platform, my brand starting to take off. So I'm just soaking it all in and definitely taking it in the most humble way possible. And I'm just feeling good.
I'm happy. I see your energy. I'm loving it. This is something that we need, to be spread out all over. Guys, definitely check him out. He got some bars, by the way.
Hey, what's going
multi-talented, and that's a gift to have such talents, to touch people in such different ways. It's awesome. Hi, everyone. As you can see, we got a lot of people here saying hello.
Hey, guys.
First, I would like to say thank you for coming. I didn't expect to have somebody volunteer right away because this is a serious topic and there's a lot of people that's not willing to share their story and, be open about it, which is okay. We live in a very hypocritical, world where you'd be judged for any little thing. But thank you so much.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Everyone, right now, before he goes into his story, I'm gonna be open up about mine. Some of you guys may know my story, some of you don't, but that's okay. So for those who don't know, get ready. Possibly have some, tissue on the side, a cup of water, little something. Okay, so he's over here laughing.
I'm ready.
Okay, so the reason I chose mental health as my first podcast is because this is a very deep, emotional topic for me as a human being, as a female, because I have experience with it in a sense where, okay, guys, like I said, I get the tissues ready because I know some people might get emotional. I've been dealing with mental health since I was about 16 years old. I am 36 now, so that's 20 years. So it practically started when I was a young child. I was physically abused by my brother for 11 years. Yes. Sadly, both him and I were raised by a single mother who doesn't speak English. Don't mind if the tears come down because this is still an emotional thing to talk about for me. However, I'm just happy that I'm able to speak on it publicly now without no shame. And, the thing with that is like, I didn't know the damage it was going to do to me emotionally and psychologically. And I got it myself admitted when I was 16 to a hospital because at 16 was very dark stage because of the whole mental, physical abuse and also verbal abuse I dealt with from him. I was admitted to the hospital because, sadly to say, I wanted to commit suicide. I am proof that I'm still here today. I am proof that there's better things out there. It's just about how we get help. So yeah, I was admitted for 2 weeks, and I think that hurt me more because not that I want to talk bad about my family, but I have to, if I'm gonna be vocal about it, I gotta speak truth. I gotta be as transparent as possible. There was times where I have tried taking medication, as an overdose. I've cut myself, and I still have some faded out scars on my arm. And what hurt me the most out of everything is that having my mom see me go through this experience, and the only thing she said to me was, "You're crazy," and that just made me feel, as a child, as her daughter, it hurt me a lot, right? And as a young female, because we didn't have, well, for me, I didn't have no positive reinforcements in my life, in my household. It took so much energy from me. It took a lot of, like, I don't know what word to say right now, but it took a lot for me to fight through depression. And I'm talking about the very dark side of depression, because there's
Mm,
different, levels of depression here. There's very different levels of it.
absolutely.
But mine was very dark. When I mean a dark hole, to the point where, like I said, I try to take pills. I was cutting myself. Um, I was mostly a runaway teenager. Let me tell you that. Like, I just didn't want to be home, because home wasn't home to me. It felt more like a jail cell. It's like you can only go out when you want, when I was allowed to type. But it wasn't because of my mom not being a parent. It's because my brother took it upon himself to be like that parental figure. But the
Hmm.
way he went about it was very bad. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Um, and the outcome is, I end up going through the dark side of depression. I still deal with it here and there, but I'm managing it through it now, because thankfully, thanks to God, I have met amazing people who has been there for me through the worst times possible. And then, of course, my husband, who's known about my situation, so I'm grateful for him. And does it affect me how I open up to others? Does it affect me how I am to others and everything? It has changed my outlook on a lot of things regarding relationships, friendships, and private romantic relationships. It does do a lot to somebody. Like, we're scared and very guarded because of that. Because if
Mm,
we can't feel safe at home by our own family members, how can we feel safe by the people outside of our doors?
absolutely.
So growing up was tough. Yeah, I had little friends here and there, but when it came to the situation that was going on at home, some of them knew about it and they kind of brushed it off. Why? Because they don't
Mm,
understand situations like that if they're not being raised in the same way. And it hurt me so much, because I'm like, who can I talk to? Who can I talk to about this? Did I go to therapy? Yeah, but at that same time, me, as a teenager, you're stubborn. You just see, like, this person don't care about me. They just want to check, blah blah blah. That's how I kind of saw it too.
yeah.
So I denied myself the help for a couple of years. And I kept going through those dark stages alone, in a sense, psychologically. And it took a lot. Like, what I mean, it took a lot of willpower on my side. It did, because I did not see myself being alive at 36. I did not see myself being married. I did not see myself being a mother. And that's another thing, that where I question myself as a woman, because since I grew up in a neglectful home and an abusive household, the childhood trauma in me, it's like, am I doing a good enough, being a mom? Am I,
Exactly.
no, I'm sorry. Am I doing good enough? Because it's like my mom didn't know how to parent me. I missed out a lot of experiences that a lot of young girls have with their parents. I didn't have that with my mom. I don't have that relationship with my mother till this day. And God knows I tried to build that relationship with her 3 times, and it's just, sadly, it's not possible. But there's times I ask myself, am I doing a good enough job as a mother? Because I don't want a repetitive cycle, because some things could be passed down, you know.
Absolutely.
So it's has it been a difficult role being a parent for me? Yes. My love language is so different from many others. It's not what you're gonna see on TV or whatever it is that you read in books. Like, my love language is so different because of the way I grew up. For me, till this day, I still find it hard to believe that people have good intentions with me. Like, I still find it hard to believe it. Why? Because people hurt people.
That's
Hurt
right.
people hurt people. So it's like, do I want to be like that? No. Do I try to avoid as best as possible? Yes, I do. I don't like seeing people get hurt, because I take it personal. Especially if it's something similar to what I've gone through. I take it very personal, and sadly, because of that, there's times I have to isolate myself from certain people and situations, because my mind is like a sponge. With certain negativity, I absorb it so easily, so deeply, that I feel it like it's being done to me. And then I start feeling the depression all over again, the sadness and everything. That's something I don't want. And I don't want my kids to see me, like that. Even though my child does understand, she asked me, Mom, do you have a brother? Because they're curious. Mom, do I
All
have a
right.
uncle? Do you have, sisters? And I'm like, yeah, you have an uncle. I explained to him the situation. Well, my oldest one, I explained to her. My youngest one, she doesn't know. But my
Right.
oldest one, I want to build that relationship with her. So I was very honest with her as far as like why I don't speak to my family. She's very understanding in that sense. She hates to see me cry, and I think that's what made her tell me, what, Mom, is this is the pain they're gonna cause you. It's best that you just not like try to build that bridge again. And that was her who said that. Mind you,
Yeah.
she's gonna be 12 soon, and this is her, and that's when I started, reflecting, like, what, she makes a point. But the thing is, as a mom, you want to give your kids what you didn't have growing up. You know
Exactly.
what I mean? So I was trying to be that mom, like, no, I didn't have my grandparents growing up. Let me see if I could do this with my kids. My dad is still alive and breathing. My husband's dad is still alive and breathing. My mother-in-law's here, and then my mother. I was like, let me give that, that privilege to my kids. And it's like, okay, I did it once, twice, three times, 20 times, and it's just not working out. So right now, my mother-in-law is everything to my daughter. She's literally the queen when it comes to grandparents. I owe a lot to this woman because, listen, she took me in with open arms. Um, and she practically raised me, in a sense, to be the woman I am today.
Absolutely.
So, like I said, it's a lot of positive outcomes. It's just about who you let into your life and who's really gonna be there to help lift you up in these tough moments. Am I still seeing a therapist? For some of you who might be curious to that, yes, I'm still seeing a therapist. I have to put my pride aside. I have to put my pride aside and be like, no, this is something I still got to work on, and I got to do it not just for me, but for my kids and for my family. Do And I don't want to get into this, but I'm just gonna say, was I prescribed medications? Yes. And I
Mm.
was prescribed Zoloft again. Do I take it
Wow.
every day? To be honest, no. Am I supposed to? Yes. And the reason I say I don't take it every day is because I feel like I don't want my neurons, my body to get adjusted for this to tell me, oh, if you don't take this, you're not gonna be okay. No, like I have to my own self put the effort in to do what's best for me. At the same time, as if I know something is making me upset, I gotta pull myself away from that. Is it easy at times? No, because I'm very vocal. When something bothers me, I like to say, no, this is bothering me. You shouldn't be doing this. But there's times that, it's not my battle, and that's something I have to learn too as an individual. Um, Now that I've spoken my story, and Musa, the stage is finally yours.
I
you know,
just want to say first off, you are powerful. The fact that you are able to recognize the changes that you need to make, not only for your own self but for your children as well, speaks volumes. And with that said, you've overcome and you are overcoming a lot more than what you think. And sometimes we don't get told that enough. But I just wanted to point that out first. And secondly, before we begin, when you hit me up or when you made that post, I don't know why I responded so fast, but I was just on it. It was like within seconds I responded and said, "Hey, how can I help?" And that's really genuinely where my heart is at, for all new content creators. I'm not one that is like, "Oh, you're not popular enough, so I'm not going to interview you," or "I don't want to work with you." Like, it's not like that with me. I'm very genuine about all of my passions as well, and so I just want to say thank you for having me. Now, as far as my story goes, it's a pretty extensive one, but I'll try my best to sum it up. And I do hope I don't get too emotional because I don't get to talk about it often. I deal with it great, but I just don't talk about it a lot. And you'll understand why shortly. Basically, I was born into a family of five. I had a brother and three sisters. And when I was about 5 years old, 6 years old actually, I was thrown into foster care because my mother was on drugs. I never knew my father, but prior to I guess prior to the foster care situation, my mom had got very, very depressed. She has her own history where she was molested as a little girl, and so now that I'm older, I kind of understand why her lifestyle was the way that it was. But I was the firstborn child, and so she was definitely happy and great and everything. But my dad left when I was 2, and that hurt her because that was her first love, and you know how that go as a woman, your first love,
Right.
and your first physically. So it's just like it distraughted her. And down the road, a few years later, she ended up getting introduced to crack, and she ended up partaking. And I have my other 4 siblings; they were all considered crack babies. So I ended up in foster care, and I was in foster care for about 15 years, different homes. And honestly, it's because in the system, I learned that as you get older, it's harder to get adopted because everybody wants the babies and stuff
Right.
like that. But initially in the 80s, when the system was first implemented, people were kind of just taking kids for all sorts of reasons and just throwing them in different programs and different stuff like that. And so that was pretty much the gist of my life. By the time I was 15 years old, I had got with a family that had adopted 5 children, and then they brought us on as well. And let me back up real quick for a second. During this time in foster care, guys, my siblings and I were all displaced. We were all separated. So I didn't know my siblings or anything whatsoever. And so I went at least 10, 12 years without even seeing them. And so when I finally did get into this home and the lady took us in, it was my first time seeing my siblings in about 12 years. But that home itself, and here's the thing with foster care, I think it takes a special person to do that type of work. But unfortunately, it's also a source of income for many people. And that's just the reality of it. I didn't understand that as a child, but now that I'm grown, I can kind of see it. And not to mention my foster dad, he actually told me, and this was damaging, but it empowered me because I was able to see reality. But basically, he told me one day, I never wanted all of these kids. And your mom, she got you guys because she needed to pay off her house. And we had like 4 or 5 cars and stuff like that. And I'm wondering, like, man, these people are great. Like, as a kid, I'm like, man, this is a great home, da 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 da. But the reality was that we were used as an income source in order for her to get out of debt. And my foster dad told me that when I was a little bit older, around 15 years old, and it broke me. It entirely broke my heart. I was a kid at that time that had been through over 35 foster homes, and I'm calling various women mom, because I didn't have my mom anymore. So of course, every home I'm in, I'm trying to receive the love, from mom. And so I'm adopting all of these women in my heart as mom. And so to hear that, it totally distraught who I was. And so at that time of my life, I was 16 years old, and the house situation was so bad because of all the different personalities. Even some of my siblings, like I was a favorite in the house, and it was because I was the most well-mannered. I did what I was supposed to do. I didn't cause any trouble. I was an A and B student in school. And so there was sibling rivalry, and I had to learn what that was about. There was jealousy within my own bloodline, and it was just a really, really trying time. And so at 16 years old, I made the craziest decision that any child should have to make in their life. And I hope no one ever does, but there's a legal loophole called an emancipation. And you can become legally grown in order to take care of yourself if the judge or the courts consider it. And so they ended up considering it in my favor. And I was emancipated at 16 years old and out on my own. I was working at McDonald's. It was my first job, and shout out to McDonald's because some of the skills that I learned in my life, I still apply today, but I got them and gained them from that job. At 16 years old, I was a manager, and I wasn't even supposed to be because of the child labor laws. Not only was I a manager, but I'm obviously still in school. And not only that, but I have to have a place to live in order to go to school. So guess what? At 16 years old, I had my own place. I had my first apartment. I had a job. I had a car, and I was working third shift while trying to graduate from high school, in the midst of all of that pain. So life I kind of went through a hellacious period at that age, and I'm honestly surprised, and it has to be the grace of the Creator that I was able to navigate myself through that. And I say myself because I was virtually alone. I've never known my biological family. So at 16, I literally had nowhere to go. I had yearned to search for my mom, and I ended up finding her when I was 21 years old. And when I found her, two things happened. The first thing that happened was my foster family at that point disowned me. My foster mom in particular. She had the mindset that, I'm here raising you. You have no right to find out who your people are. My foster dad, he was old school, and I salute him. He's an old school person, type of guy, and so he told me that it was a great thing. And so there was division within the household, as you can see, because the two parents had different views on how I should approach finding my biological family. Where my foster mom was being more on the selfish, self-preserving of her feelings end, and my foster dad is like, go ahead and do what you got to do. But because of my choice to seek out my foster mom, my biological mom, my foster mom cut me off from the entire family. There was a point when I was I think 18 years old. I ended up becoming homeless. I mean, let's just be real. At 18, you really don't know how to deal with life. You really don't know how to manage finances and stuff like that. And for most of us, because most of us aren't taught that at all. And so I ended up becoming homeless, and I asked her if I can live with her again, just for a couple of weeks. And she looked me dead in my eyes and told me no. And it just, again, that was just more damage being done. But at that moment, well, let me say about my mom. So when I met my mom, it was a bittersweet moment. I was overjoyed to see her again. Obviously, I hadn't seen her since I was about 5.5. But she ended up telling me something that was even more damaging. And she said, I tried to talk to her about what happened and ask her what happened and why we got taken away, why she didn't fight for us and stuff like that. And I had so many excuses. She said it was your grandmother, and your grandmother didn't keep you guys the way that I wanted her to. And so at that age, I'm like, Mom, you're grown. It's not grandma's responsibility to take care of your children. Yeah, if you need some help, I can see a grandmother stepping in to assist, but ultimately that is your life. And so she said, and in response to that, she said, look, I don't owe any of you guys anything. And she said, you guys can't blame me for your life. You need to go ahead and move on with your life. And I looked her dead in the eyes and I said, Mom, I love you, but if I never see you again, I'm okay. And I have not seen her again since. I am now 38 years old, and I have not seen or heard from anyone in that entire time span. So I've had some struggles. I had some serious struggles. And again, I can't explain how I navigated that. What I believe looking back is that I used that as a fuel to ensure that I never had to, one, be hurt by anybody again, and two, that I would never have to need anybody again. And so with that lifestyle comes a lot of isolation, because now I'm feeling like I can't trust. I'm feeling like if I do decide to trust, is this person genuinely for me, or are they just out to use me? And the reason why I had those thoughts is because I was used as a child as an income source, and I realized that. But yeah, a lot of nights with nothing to eat. I've slept in parks as a teen. I mean, I've had it all. And as far as the in-home structure prior to foster care, with my biological mom, we didn't have the best. We grew up below standard, extreme poverty. My mom never worked. I honestly don't even know how she made money or how she got money. I have no clue. But I remember vividly there was times growing up where my mom would leave, and I would know that, like 4 years old, I still have these memories where she would leave the house and not come back for like a day, and sometimes a couple of days. And so I'm in this house I'm 5 years old. I got four other siblings. One of them, well, two of them still in diapers. And I remember one day cooking macaroni for my little sister because she was hungry. And, I'm 5 years old. And so I'm just putting the milk inside the bowl. And I'm sorry, guys, this is crazy. I didn't even think I would be telling this story. And I'm sitting here pouring the milk in and trying to, make all the ingredients up or whatever, get everything together. And I gave it to her. And she was like, this isn't how mommy makes it. And it's because I didn't boil it or anything. I just thought it was done. So, but it's, I've had a very, 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 very trying time in my life. And so I'm one of those people now that believe that you can overcome anything. Even now throughout my life, before Vote Inu, or even during Vote Inu, I'll say this. Recently, I've had a separation from my wife, and this is due to reasons of infidelity. So in the past month and a half, I was in another homeless situation and in a toxic situation where I knew that it was time for me to go because I was being, used in a way that, and here's the thing. I told somebody this the other day. When people know your heart, it's easy for them to navigate your mind. They know exactly what to do, what to say. It's almost predatory in nature because you've exposed yourself. But now, when I look back over all of this, I'm still blown away. I can't explain it. And all I know is that, I'm sorry. I'm trying so hard not to get choked up, guys, because this is so tough. But basically, I'm just inspired by everything that other people go through. My heart is wholeheartedly, and I mean this, my heart is set on people that are without, homeless, people that are broken, because I get it. And I feel like my purpose is here to basically encourage and also let people know, like, hey, it's not the end. It's not the end of your story. It's not the end of your journey. But yeah, I mean, when I'm on this camera and what you see now is truly genuine. This is the raw me. When I'm doing my vote videos, that's not a facade or nothing like that. I enjoy what I do. I love Vote Inu. I love our developer. I love our community. And the reason why I have so much love is because of how much love I have received without you guys even knowing this story up until this point. I'm making videos sometimes from a friend's house or from a hotel room or something like that, and people have no clue. People have no clue what. And I think Crypto Latina, shout out to her and her space that she had with Daisy and Carrie a few days ago. Sometimes people don't know. You guys have no clue what people are going through. And so it's so important not to judge, because, all you guys see is what we're presenting to you. There's some real life situations going out there, guys, like for real. But with that said, I don't want it to make it a pity party or anything, because my inner strength doesn't allow me to ask for help. My inner strength doesn't allow me to just, cry and bawl about it. I've been through so much fire that I feel like my soul, my entire soul being is just embrazened. And I honestly feel I'm untouchable. So, and I mean that. And so this is a perfect podcast for me to be on. And I thank you for it, because, mental health is so important, and you can't lose yourself through all the things that you're trying to navigate, guys. And the thing that keeps me focused at the end of the day is knowing that, this isn't the end of my story. This is just the beginning of it. I lost a daughter in 2002. She died to SIDS. And I've never had another kid since. I've been, damaged by that. And I don't know, man. I'm still smiling. I'm still here. And, that's all to me that's important at the end of the day.
I want to say I'm so sorry to hear that. I can't say I can relate to that situation, losing a child that I haven't experienced in a sense. Yes, because my first pregnancy, I did miscarry. But it's sad, because we live in a tough. If we both, you and I, had a tough childhood, we're scared to be parents because of that. Like, are we gonna do a good job? Not just as human beings, but as parents, because not only do we got to worry about how we, carry ourselves in front of our own children, we got to prepare our children for the outside world. what we're
Absolutely.
gonna throw at them, and that's something very scary. Like I'm scared of it, and I praise you, and let me tell you, like I love the fact that you're so transparent, and once again, I have to thank you for coming on here because I was like,
Absolutely.
I need a guy, I need a guy, I need a guy. Why? Because men handle mental health different from women. Men is more like internalizing everything rather than speak it out. Us women, we cry, we yell, we're angry. No, you did this to me last week and it still bothers me. We're very vocal in that regards, but men, it's more internal. And the fact that you're being so vocal about this, got it. Listen, and you're here breathing. You're literally, how do you say it? You're one of God's children. Like you're literally here with your purpose. You're here, showing others that goes through the same situation. Like there's better for you out there.
Absolutely.
What I did want to ask, I wrote some questions down.
Sure.
Was have you ever experienced like depression with everything that you've gone through?
I'm pretty sure that I have. Sometimes things can get masked subconsciously. And so I think I did a lot of that throughout my early teens and even early 20s, just trying to stay focused on what's in front of me and not so much what's behind me. But still, that's not really the healthiest way of doing it. It may get you through the issue, but it doesn't really, because you're still impacted by it on a subconscious level. And that happens, throughout your relationships, friendships, and like you said, how you raise your kids. There's a lot of things that go on in the psyche that people are unaware of that are so-called strong. And so, for men, and you're absolutely right. Society kind of does this to us, though. We're not allowed to cry. We're not allowed to be soft. We're not allowed to invoke our emotions. We're not allowed to tell people how we feel. We're supposed to be, super strong, Superman. But one thing I've told my buddy just the other day that, well, who does Superman have to go to when he gets weak? And so, and that's where people don't understand, for men, depression, I feel, is a lot harder to deal with because of those stigmas that society put over our heads. But yeah, I totally dealt with it. And in my later 20s, I started to recognize it throughout my relationships. I would have times where I'm just sad. I went a lot of holidays alone. When I mean alone, guys, I mean alone. Thanksgiving, Christmases. I mean, a lot. When you don't have family or when your family doesn't embrace you, then you're walking alone, literally. So I'm literally navigating the earth. I feel like I'm a Care Bear and I have all of this love to give, but I'm hurting, so, but I also believe it's because of that hurt that I am able to love the way that I do. It's because I don't want to see the next person feel anything remotely close to what I feel. So when I connect with people, I try to connect in a major way, in a very impactful and emotional way. And I have a lot of success with that. Not even telling my story. It's just because I know I can feel it. It's almost like I have a gift of empathy per se. And I don't know if the trauma caused that gift to manifest or if that was always in me. But now I definitely utilize it to make sure I help lift other people up.
And the way you speak, I love how you carry yourself. Like you could see it on screen. You're a very genuine person, and it's rare to come across nowadays because, like you said, we've been hurt so much that we don't know if this person's coming to our life with good intentions or bad, or maybe they just playing on a facade for just to get something out of us, and then boom, you already know the bomb explodes, and oh my God, the mask came off.
Absolutely.
But that day when thanks to Crypto Latina, when I was listening to your music, I was listening to the words because I'm all about lyrics. Then I'm all about the beat. So I'm listening to lyrics and I'm like talking to myself in my room, like finally music that's about realness, not this garbage degrading, no offense to whoever likes this music, but degrading women and promoting how to just stay in the streets and sell drugs. Like, no, I'm sorry, but I don't like music like that.
Absolutely.
But those lyrics, I told my husband right away, I was like, babe, you gotta listen. You gotta hop on Crypto Latina's channel. She's playing the artist. You have to listen to this guy. I'm telling you, his words is reality. It's things that's happening. I'm not saying there's no drug dealers on the block. We all know that.
Right,
still,
right.
Your words is literally like, it really touched me, and it's rare for me to even say, okay, this song, I'm feeling this song deeply. I love this. Yeah. My husband will vouch for me. I'm very picky with music, but
for sure,
the fact that you're also using your voice through your lyrics, gotta give it to you, man. You're a role model in that sense, man. You're a role model regardless. Like, you're amazing. And but whoever's from that crypto team, let me tell you, I thank you for lending it to me. Like I said, I'm not crypto savvy. My husband is. He tries to explain it to me. I don't get it. I don't know why. My brain is just not grasping it. But what I have learned from, like, going through the different Twitter spaces and the Twitter in general, the feeds and comments, there's a lot of toxicity going on, and I've noticed that's also triggering people to be more angry at one another, and causing, like, fake friendship to dissolve finally, in that sense. But, like, it's so much toxicity there that it's like, are we cool? Are we not cool? Oh, we can't be friends because you're investing in this, you're investing in that. And I'm just like, what did I walk into? You know what I mean?
It's crazy, man.
I don't get it. Everybody has their views of what to invest in and whatnot. But all I'm gonna say is, regarding that, like, we have to learn how to respectfully just let ourselves be, whatever that may be, but respectfully. So we just gotta still respect each other. The other question I have. Well, I'm just gonna not look at my notepad. That was really writing this down.
No, you're good. Take your time. You're good.
So after you found out that you was dealing with depression, right? Because everybody has different ways with dealing with it. What was your way of, like, after you finally understood that's what you was dealing with? What did you do to, like, make you feel better instead of just falling down the rabbit hole? That's what I call it, the rabbit hole. Like, what made you feel like, no, there's more to life than just me feeling sad and depressed? Like, what is it? What was your advice to like seeing the positive outcome?
Got you. So for me, it was a couple of things. One, as you spoke on, is music. Music for me is, I started out writing poems and like maybe 8, 9, 10 years old. That was my way of communicating things that I cannot tell to anyone else. And once I figured out how to put that poetry to a beat, it was over with. And so for me, music was definitely my go-to source, because it was the only thing or the only place I can go and tell how I feel, and it wouldn't respond back. It wouldn't give me some biased opinion or anything like that. And so I was just able to invoke all my emotions. And that's what you hear in my lyrics, because, I've seen a lot as well. On top of going through a lot, I've seen a lot. I've seen people killed. I've seen people shot. I've seen drug dealers. I've seen women sell their daughters for crack. Like, I've seen a lot of stuff. Like, so music for me was my go-to way, because I couldn't just go to somebody and be like, hey, I seen this, because you know how it is on the streets. Don't tell. You can't snitch. So that alone puts a hit. I don't think people understand this. If you see somebody getting hurt, like if you see somebody get killed, if you see somebody get shot, that to me is so burdening. Like, especially when you know it and you've seen it, it's traumatizing. And so for me, because I was raised with that street creed in my early teens and 20s, that we can't go tell, we can't snitch or whatever, I was weighing that. I had to wear that burden, from that other person that caused it to happen. And it's almost like how they say, if you know about something and you don't stop it, you're just as guilty. Well, guess what? That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what was going on in my life. I felt like, man, I'm partially responsible for this. Yeah, I just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, but because I knew about it. That was the thing. And so music for me was a way for me to tell without telling. And it was a way for me to get, some sort of therapeutic a sense of balance in my life. And then not only music, it was a spiritual journey. I'm not religious by no means, but I'm not ignorant to God's word. I'm not ignorant to other books or theologies that are out there. But I went on a very, very strong spiritual journey, and I took a lot of things from like the book of like Psalms or Proverbs and stuff, and it just started applying them to my life. And I'm one of those people that believe whatever you put into your system is what's going to come out. And so, for me, clinging to that Bible or clinging to, other sources of information of enlightenment that I found, it replaced all of the damage. It replaced all of the drama. So now I'm being filled up as this new person. And it was so sweet. And so it's kind of like things just started fading away. Those burdens started lightening up. And so I was carrying myself differently because I had a better understanding of the world in a spiritual sense, knowing that I'm not battling you, I'm battling the energies that are in you. And so when you look at things that way, you handle people differently. You see things differently. If you see evil, now you look at evil differently. You're like, I can recognize why that's happening. I can see why that has happened. And so now it's at a point where I feel I'm so strong now. And that's why I said I feel like I'm untouchable, because I have that source within my heart. And I don't break down. Like I don't know what it is. I honestly don't. But yeah, those two sources alone helped me definitely get through everything. And I mean, absolutely everything. It wasn't people. It wasn't having a best friend. It wasn't having family. It wasn't none of that. It was literally me enlightening myself in order to remove all of that pain and remove that burden. So yeah, that was pretty much it.
I mean, power to you, because if you ask me to write a poem, I'll be like, I'll think of one day, and I'll write probably 2 sentences, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna get past these 2 sentences. But you're right, music and being lyrical is a form of expression of what you really can't say to anyone else. Poetry too, don't get me wrong here, babe. I'm sorry, I'm upset. I need to get in touch with my spiritual self.
We all do. We all do.
I know everybody does, but like me, I don't know what it is. Like, there's things that will like stick to me, and there's things that just like, okay, I'll read it today and it'll stay stuck for the day. Then it leaves out my mind. But you're right. There's, when you feed yourself positive words, whether it's through the Bible, just positive quotes, it really does kind of like release everything we have stored within ourselves. And I think that's why some of us, not all, but like, some of us tend to explode like a shaken soda bottle. That's how I refer to it, like a shaken soda bottle. You get so filled up with what you carried on for so many years, so or months, that when you had enough, you explode to the point you're like, you know what, that's it. And everybody looks at you like, what? Like, I never seen this side of her, blah blah blah. I never seen, but it's good. Now, if you want to know about what was my vibe, you're gonna laugh. Well, maybe you're not gonna laugh, but what helped me besides therapy was reading books.
Yeah.
I was reading books. Like, my husband used to be like, "Are you even human?" Like, you could get me a 30-chapter book, right? I'll read that in one day.
Oh my gosh.
In one day, I'll read it. I just couldn't put the book down. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get to the end. Once the book was over, what am I gonna do now? I don't know what to do. I used to feel so bored. And I used to tell my husband, babe, no, like, I need another book. What am I gonna do now? Like, it was like such a relief for me, because it was like my brain was using that as a form to, like, as an escape for me,
Of course.
Then I also started listening to music, and that's another thing that helped me through too, And one of the songs I was obsessed with, that he used to look at me weird because he wasn't into that music, but it was I think it's called, it was what, babe?
Which one?
Linkin Park. I don't know if it's punk rock.
It's pop
rock or whatever.
Rock. Yeah.
Well, I was into Linkin Park. Okay, I had my moments, but there were certain songs that that really touched me. Like, there was a song with I don't know if it was their first album or second album, but it's In the End. That song used to like hit me, and I used to sing it, and I'm like, nah, this is me right here. This is me. And then my husband used to be looking at me like, really? Like, are you really singing this? Because he's he's into Spanish music and all that. But it some rock, I'm not gonna lie, like it did help me. But
no, I agree with you. So, for me, now that you say that, it triggered a memory. There was this one particular song, and it's not even hip hop. It was by this group called Skillet. I don't even know who the heck they are, but they made this song called Rebirth. And this song carried me through like 7 years. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. It was just the chords were perfect. Everything, the melody was great, but it was one of those that just touch you. And every time you hear it, it makes your soul vibrate. But it pushed me through. Yeah, so I agree. Some songs, though there's what I believe is there's certain frequencies within music that because okay, I don't want to go too far off the deep end, but I do know about music theory as well, and so there are certain frequencies that can trigger, you know, your emotions or your spirit, certain chords and stuff like that, certain megahertz even, and so that was one of those songs that every time I heard it, it gave me like not like an eargasm they call it, but it also like would make my soul just like I don't know, I would just go crazy. But I totally agree with you. Some music, you know, will definitely do that for you.
I'm trying to like. That was the name of the band, Skillet.
Yeah, they're called Skillet. I think they're like a Christian rock band or something like that. But yeah, their song is called Rebirth, and it is really just about trusting in God and wanting and yearning to do you know, better and do or live for Christ and stuff like that. But and I wasn't even, again, you know, I'm not religious, but the music and the lyrics just really resonated with me, and I'm just like, man, like it just tore me up every time I would hear it. It would make me cry, and so I felt like that was helping me. It was like all those emotions that were getting invoked and helping me cry, and I'm crying out, you know, all in my lonesome in my own little pity party. It helped me. So you know, shout out to music, man, for sure. It can do amazing things for a person.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Like, I'm not a Christian. You know, I've fallen back on a lot of, like, as far as going to church, and that's something I need to work on myself. But there's worship music that has also helped me, and most of it's in Spanish, some of it's in English, but most of them are in Spanish. And there was one specifically in Spanish that when I heard it for the first time, I just felt like chains were just being ripped off from me.
Yes.
Because it was like, not only could I resonate with this song, I just felt like my whole essence, my spirit was just being freed, in a sense. Like, finally a song that's explaining how I feel. I felt like I was my own prisoner, in a sense. So I felt like there was weights holding me down spiritually, in ways that my physical body was already over certain things, but internally I was still carrying the weight. And through that song, I kept playing it and playing it and playing it, and I just kept feeling the chains breaking off little by little. My husband will find me crying. He's like, "Why are you crying?" Then he'll listen to the song. He's like, "Okay." So he'll give me that moment. He'll understand, because he's more connected in that sense than I am. You know, he's literally more spiritual in that sense than I am. But that's some of the things that has helped me. My husband, of course. Let me tell you, just like you said earlier, it does affect how we do relationships with the things we've gone through in our childhood. I'm not gonna lie, I was scared to get into a relationship. Like, I was petrified, you know, because as women, we already are criticized for any little thing.
For sure.
For any little thing, we're criticized and judged for. So my first thing came to mind when I met him was like, he said he likes me, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Let's see how this works out. But then when he started seeing little weird things about me, that he was starting to question me, because he didn't know about my situation at home. You know, he'll ask me like, "Is everything okay at home?" Like, yeah. You know, but he will see my nervousness every time he asks me a question regarding my household. He will see how I reacted around my brother, because he had met my brother before. Then he started putting the pieces together little by little, and then he started telling, like, he, you know, called me to the side of the room, and he was like, "No, like, what's really going on? Because you're not acting okay. You're acting, you know, like you're scared."
Absolutely.
So I was like, "No," and I started crying. I'm like, "No, everything is fine. You just want to know. I'm not going to tell you anything." And he was like, "No, you have to tell me, because this is like the way you're reacting." I don't know what face I had. Maybe he could explain that part, but something about me, my face, I don't know, showed that there was fear.
Yeah.
And when he finally found out, you know, Ken being my boyfriend at that time, I guess he took it upon himself to be like, "You know what? I'm not gonna be that guy that be like, oh, she has too much baggage and all this going on in her life. Let me just dump her and leave her." You know, since day one, he has been my rock.
Nice.
His family as well. You know what? Oh, he's commenting in the chat. I'm like, right now. But you know, there was a situation in which there was confrontation between him and my brother. That was something I was trying to avoid at all costs because, like I said, at that time I was still living with my mom and my brother, and I was scared of what was gonna happen because honestly, to this day, my husband could attest to that. You cannot put me in the same room as my brother, even if he's 20 feet from me. This fear comes into my soul to the point where I don't know what's gonna happen, but I just get this fear. Right.
Gotcha.
I have had a public semi panic attack when we ran into him in the streets one time when I was going to Queens because I'm from New York, and I went into panic mode. And some words, my brother was provoking my husband, because my husband is disabled. And my brother was seeing it like, oh, he's not going to do nothing because he's disabled. So my brother was provoking him. And I'm just like, this is something that I was trying to avoid. So moving forward, ever since that whole situation happened, I was technically banned, police involvement and everything, that I wasn't allowed to go back in that section at all. Like nothing regarding Queens, I'm allowed to be around because of that situation.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like it's like I grew up there, you know what I mean? It was like my part of home, So after that happened, my husband took the initiative to speak to his mom, told her my situation, and then 4 months later, I moved in with him. Mind you, I'm 19, going on 20. Still a baby in a sense, He welcomed me here in his house, and let me tell you, it took me 4 years psychologically to adapt to the environment. Because any little mistake I made, I thought I was gonna get hit for it. Because that's the stuff that my brother, put in me, that any little thing. But he told me put the controller on the left corner of a table, and I put it on the left corner, but it wasn't at where specifically in a spot he told me to. I used to get hit for it.
Oh my gosh.
It took a lot for me to really to adjust to the changes. Like his mom used to tell me, nobody's gonna hit you here. You're safe here. And then the fact that I'm 19 and I'm already, I already went into, I became 20 years old. I turned 20 years old. I didn't know how to cook. Like I said, I was raised in a neglectful home. My mom wasn't the mom to be like, hey, sweetheart, you're at this age. Let's come into the kitchen. This is how we do this. This is how we do that. So when you're older, you can fend for yourself. So everything I know now is thanks to my mother-in-law. And let me tell you my first experience with making rice. This is probably never seen, but
rice is hard. Rice is hard for a lot of folks.
No, listen, it was hard. Like she told me how to do it. I did it right, but I don't know what happened with my rice that it didn't come out right. That I got so mad within myself because I thought I was gonna get somewhere in my mind thought I was gonna get hit from it. That I just threw the pot on the floor. I was like, screw this. Like I was so angry at myself. Like, no, I failed this. And then his mom was like, you're not at home anymore. That's what she kept telling me. She's like, you're not there anymore. You're not there. She has the patience, I tell you. Because I'm like, no, I have to get this right. Because he had instilled it in me. If I don't do something right, I was stupid. I was never going to be good enough. That's all the verbal abuse I went through with my brother. So now I cook like my husband's mom, what man doesn't like when their wives cook like their parents,
Right.
So my husband be bragging about it. Yeah, my mom taught her how to cook, so now she cooks like my mother, about it. And
he better be grateful.
Oh no, my husband, listen, my husband be talking about at times. No, he's picky. Let me tell you, my husband is picky. Like I like to explore different dishes. Like I could eat Jamaican food, any food. I just love to taste different seasonings, different flavors. Like I'm just about experimenting with different stuff. Him on the other hand, babe, I'm sorry. He's basic. But as long as I cook as long as I make his special dishes, and because his mom told me how to cook, so I cook like her. This man be like, babe, can I get another plate? I'm like, dude, I gave you some of mine too, along with yours. Like, what more do you want from me? But he's like, no, but it's just that you cook like my mom.
It's so
I'm
good.
like,
I mean, let's be realistic. Every man's dream is to marry a girl that cooks like mom. So I happen to be the lucky one.
You are. That's what I said. He better appreciate that. That it happened the way that it happened.
Yeah.
It worked out in your favor.
Listen, like he's like, he knows this too. Like I said earlier from the beginning of the stream, like I've never saw myself being here at all, you know.
Absolutely.
It's like I still have my moments, not as bad as before. Like I still have my little times where I be like, I don't want to get out of bed. I just don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to watch no TV. I tell my daughter, she knows when I'm in my little mood. She already knows and picks up on it. So she respectfully, you know, she's very understanding. You know, she lets me breathe, you know, but she'll come in like, Mommy, are you okay? My little one, she picks up on it as well. So what makes me cry with this whole situation is the fact that she's 6 years old, but it's like she could feel when I'm hurting inside or something's wrong, because she'll come in the room, lay next to me, give me a hug and kiss, and then, Mommy, everything's gonna be okay. I don't tell her something's bothering me. She just literally comes to me, Mommy, I love you. You're gonna be okay. It's like she gives me the assurance that I need, you know, and that's something that I feel is so profoundly, because like I said, growing up in a neglectful household with physical abuse, verbal abuse for 11 years of my life, done a lot of damage to me that I was like, you know, till this day, I'm like, am I doing good enough as a mother? Am I doing good enough as a woman? Am I being good enough as a female for my husband too? Because it's like opening up to him, it was a process for him too. Yeah. You know, do we go through our own trials as a couple? Yes, we do. You know, there's times, you know, I even push myself away from him, and he's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to look at nobody. Like, just leave me alone. Leave me alone. He's like, but you were just fine when you left. Now you come here and you have this. But he sees like my mood switches at times, but he's been very respectful about it, you know, and that's something a lot of people don't understand. Like, as much as we don't want to carry certain things into our new relationship, it's hard, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's hard. And the one thing I could really say is, before you get into any relationships with anybody, is like, I wish I would have known this before I met my husband, and be able to save us some certain like arguments or whatever the case may be, because, you know, we all have our arguments, but I really wished I would have really got the proper help in that sense, and kind of like healed from it. Like,
absolutely,
maybe things would have been better for me, because let me tell y'all, no shame in my game right now what I'm about to say, but my husband is technically my second relationship.
Aww.
You know, whether everybody's dating and they're in their 20th boyfriend, 20th girlfriend, this right? Second relationship. Yeah.
Kudos to you. Shout out to you. That's
thank
awesome.
you. So, you know, like, I was very scared because I didn't know what a relationship was. You know, I didn't know. So this thing that he had to teach me. His mom had to guide me through certain things, woman to woman advice. You know, I was scared to even bring up certain conversations, because I'm like, I feel like I'm a little kid asking big questions. And I was so like, oh my gosh, I don't know. My husband, like I said, he has the patience that, listen, that the men nowadays some wouldn't have at all with women with all this baggage. So I was like, oh man. And all I can say, he's gonna leave me. He's gonna leave me, or he's gonna cheat on me. He's gonna turn out to be like my ex. And I was just like, oh my goodness. But no, 16 years later, we're still together. He's still a pin in my neck.
Yeah, I think it's totally, you know, you hit a point there. Like, for me, what's helped me, and maybe this may help you, you have to consciously sometimes tell yourself, this is not the same person. This is not the same person. Give this person a chance. He didn't do this to me. They did this to me. You know what I mean? So I think that's very important moving forward. And that's something that's helped me progress through relationships as well. But you're right. Relationships are absolutely tough for people that are broken and brokenhearted because you don't know, you know, who you can trust. You don't know who's there for you genuinely. And now that I'm invested in crypto, just imagine what my mind's like. It's like we killed 2 zeros. I'm like, nah, you're fake. You're fake. You're fake. You're fake.
It's hard, like, because it's like people like you and I, we want to see the best in anybody and everybody. So when people tell us, don't talk to this person because they're weird or they're shady, we'll be like, nah, that's just you feeling that way because y'all had a little argument, but we're gonna just do what we gotta do to see, and then boom, months, years later, the mask come up. We're like, oh man, this person was right the whole time,
right? But and a lot of that's because of our vulnerabilities. I feel I've had my share of crazy relationships where I'm not even gonna lie, it's gonna sound crazy as heck, but most of my relationships resulted in me getting the short end of the stick. And like I said earlier, a lot of it is because I expose myself. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and I know that, and I'm not afraid of that, and I'm not gonna hide that heart. I'm gonna keep showing it, and it's because I know that somebody's gonna appreciate it one day. But with that said, I'm also mentally healthy to the point where I know, like, you have to evaluate people's spirits, you have to evaluate their hearts, you have to evaluate their minds. Preach. Man, come on. So that way I don't have to change who I am. I shouldn't have to become cold-hearted and hard-hearted because everybody else is screwed me over. It's not, that's not how the world works. Everybody deserves a chance, and that's my personal philosophy when I engage in relationships, whether intimate or just friendships. Everybody deserves a chance at trust until they break it. But the thing is once they do break it, you have to ask yourself, am I following that pattern where I'm allowing this to happen to myself again, or am I going to cut it off and decide to be healthy, or am I going to choose them, or am I going to choose me? And now I'm at the point in my life where I'm choosing me every single time.
Right. And let me tell you, there's times I'll be asking myself that question because my husband be like, babe, you're too nice to everybody. You're too good to everybody. You want to save the world.
Yep.
We're both me and him is both the same way. We're both the same way. However, he's in that sense, he's more like he nips it in the butt when he needs to. Me, I fight through. I'm like, no, I'm stubborn. I'll be like, no, she's just angry. He's just angry. Let them just, let them be for a couple of days, and boom, this is me. Are we cool? Are we okay? Like, we good? And he's looking at me like, babe, are you serious? You want to get hurt again? And I'm just like, it's just me, I guess, because of everything I went through. I want people to know that, we all have our bad moments. We all have our bad days. We all have our trials, but at the end of the day, you gotta understand too, like, there's still genuine people out there that's still gonna be there for you. However, I'm gonna be there for you. The only issue is, if I'm not okay, don't expect me to pour from an empty cup.
Thank you. Hey, I got this saying where I tell people, you don't just go to the bank and withdraw. You have to make deposits. Mm-hmm. So if people aren't making deposits in your life, you got to evaluate that situation for sure.
Oh, of course. And that's something that sadly enough, it took me years to understand and realize, because I used to think like everything was wrong with me. Everything. Yeah. Like, I used to see myself as the black sheep. Like, I was literally the I'm like, what am I doing wrong that I have no friends? What am I doing wrong that not even boys like me? Because I was like the outcast, you could kind of say, growing up. I'm like, what is wrong with me? Like, what is really wrong with me? Is it because of what I'm going through at home? Like, I was questioning myself like no tomorrow. And then I met a friend, and when I was taking my GED classes, I met a friend, and then I met her family, and her cousin turned out to be my best friend, who's still my best friend till this day. And when I started seeing, like, participating in their family events and knowing how their interaction was amongst them, I started seeing unity. I started seeing like a family. So I was like, oh, so it's like it opened me up little by little. And she has been my guidance in a lot of things. Very supportive of me as well, and she's aware of my depression. She knows when I'm having my moments. So, and it's people like her as to why I've never given up too, is because if I didn't have my husband, if I didn't have my best friend, and of course therapy, what would have happened to me had I not, if I would have had lost hope? I wouldn't have been here sitting down doing the stream with you, or being beside my husband and having these amazing girls. There's even times I ask myself and I ask God, I'm like, what have I done wrong that I never catch a break? You know what I say? You know what I mean?
Yes, I know exactly what you mean.
And there's people that saying, girl, God doesn't give you anything you can't handle. But there's things that I really be like, what have I done except just be born out of my mother's womb? And then there's all these superstitions. You know how people get superstitious. There's all these superstitions. And then, besides the The trauma of my childhood trauma of growing up, I went through the traumatic experience of having a miscarriage from my first pregnancy. Which I went to depression again because of that. Let me tell you the truth. What didn't help was when I went to see a specialist because I thought I couldn't have kids because we kept trying and trying. The doctor's first comment was, "Oh, maybe if you was to lose weight, you could have a child." When he said that, he triggered me to the point like I wanted to fight the doctor. I'm not gonna lie.
That's crazy.
Yeah, my husband pulled me out that office like no tomorrow because I was about to throw punches because he triggered me in a sense. Not only did he anger me, but I was already self-conscious. Like nobody needs to tell me, "Oh, you're heavy or you're obese," whatever. Nobody needs to tell me that. So that psychologically traumatized me to the point where I went to depression for 2 years all over again because of the miscarriage and because of that comment he made.
Oh my god!
And me and my husband, I'm telling you, Musa, we kept trying and trying and trying. I'm like, God, what is it that I can't have a kid? Like, what's going on with my body? There's something wrong with me internally. I want to know so I don't get my hopes up.
Yeah.
So my husband was like, baby, if we can have kids, we'll adopt. And I'm like, you know how much process it is into adopting? It's a lot. They look into your mental health, your income, your the way you live, your credentials as a worker, a student, all of that. They like deep dive into these things. So I was like, I don't think I could do adoption like that. That's how I was thinking. And then apparently, so a few years later, in 2010, boom, I'm over here, Valentine's Day, we all get happy, we all go on dates, celebrate with our loved ones, drink a little bit. I'm here drinking my wine. Mind you, that same year, Musa, you're gonna laugh at this story. Get ready for this one.
All right.
We was planning to go to Dominican Republic because my husband is Dominican. Everybody who's still here, you're gonna have a little laugh. His mom was like, let's all go to DR. Okay, Mom, we're going. Boom. She said, but take a pregnancy test before we book the tickets. I was like, okay, Mom, I'm gonna do it. I took 4. Pregnancy tests aren't cheap.
Right. I know that's right.
we did 4. We did 4. All negative, right? Listen, I was like, oh, it's negative. Let's book our flights. Me and my husband booked the flight. Oh, this is where the fun come in, babe. Okay, guys. A week or 2 later, on a Sunday morning, my subconscious woke me up saying, wake up and take another pregnancy test. And I was like talking to myself, like, why do I need to take another one? But I took like 4 and they're all negative. How do you?
None.
Okay. And let me tell you, I went to take the last test that I had left in the box. It was like 6 or 7 in the morning because they say it's always the first urine, whatever. So I went to go to the bathroom. And I took the little test, waited 5 minutes? Yeah, the 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm going to use my pen. I just went like this.
Oh my God.
I was like, what? So
and better yet, I'm sleeping. So I'm like, way in the next level dream. And I'm like this, and she goes, babe, I'm pregnant. I'm like, huh? Like, babe, I'm pregnant. I'm like, what?
It's like, how?
Yeah, I was like a bit upset because it was like, man, didn't we just bought the ticket? But then at the same time, I was happy because it was our first daughter and we've been trying for so long.
He was more excited. Me, I was questioning it because of the miscarriage, right? And plus the 4 tests that I took was all negative. So I was like, I'm not going to get excited until when I see the doctor's confirmation of the blood test and urine test. And the second confirmation was with the heartbeat. So I was like, I'm not going to get my hopes up because when we got excited about the first pregnancy, boom, I miscarried. So I still had that weight on me. So I told my sister-in-law, I was like, I might be a mom, but I don't know how to feel about this. Like, I'm sorry.
Hold on. Crypto Latina thing.
Oh my gosh.
Alpha, forget you, bro. But don't worry, I got you.
So I'm riding the train and I show her the little, positive test, and I'm like, I don't know how to feel about this. And she was like, it's gonna be okay. I was like, no, it's not. Look what happened with the first pregnancy. It was just too too much, you know, like, I don't know. She was like, well, I'm on my way to work. You're on the way to the doctor. Just keep me posted. I was like, okay, fine. I went to the urgent care, did the whole blood work, urine test, waited. And I hate waiting at the doctor's. I have no patience to wait at the doctor's.
I know that's right.
So I'm there hungry on an empty stomach, too early in the morning for no reason. I'm just like falling asleep when they're like, blah, blah, blah. My guess that's me. They're like, can you come in? I was like, okay. They're like, have a seat. I was like, okay. And I'm like, oh my God, I don't want no more bad news. I don't want no more bad news. And I'm here paranoid. And I was like, oh my God, I don't want to hear it. They're like, congratulations. I'm like, huh? What? I told the nurse, I'm like, can you repeat that? She's like, just wait. The doctor came in. Hi, you're this and that. I'm like, yes, that's my name. Well, it shows here you tested positive with a pregnancy test. I was like, what? They're like, yeah, your blood works positive, your urine is positive. I'm like, huh? What? So I text my husband right away, babe, it's coming out positive over here too. I was happy, but I still wasn't 100% there yet. They're like, we're going to schedule you for your first ultrasound to see how far along are you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. Fine, whatever. Routine stuff. I'm chilling. I'm like, on my way home, I was like, God, I want to be super happy for myself, but I just can't. I'm sorry. I can't. After the first experience, I cannot be happy. I cannot. When the time came, I think it was around March, because I don't even know. I know between February and March, I went finally for my first ultrasound, and they're like, we're gonna put this jelly on your stomach, and I'm like, you know, it's my first experience. So I'm like,
right.
Jelly? What? Like, I'm thinking here peanut butter and jelly. Like, what kind of jelly? What are they talking about? Jelly on my stomach. So when they put the jelly, nobody told me that thing's gonna be ice cold. I was offended. Let me tell you, I was like, I kind of jumped up because, you know, you have to lay on your back, and I kind of jumped up. And the woman's like, don't move. I was like, this is cold. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that. You think? And you know, some clinic rooms are really, really cold. So yeah. I'm like this, shaking. She has my shirt up with the cold jelly on my stomach, and I'm like, in my head, oh my gosh, I'm freezing. Can she hurry up? But as soon as she did the ultrasound and she was like trying to see where the baby was at, I'm like, see, I'm getting my hopes up. There's no baby here. Like, it was just all like a fake positive. Like, then when she literally put it, like, because she was very small, she lowered it. She was like, I found you. And I'm like, huh? I'm like, I'm looking at her like, who's she talking to? She's like, look, there goes your baby. I'm like, I don't see nothing. Because, you know, I didn't study how to be an ultrasound person or anything. So I don't know what she was looking at. All I saw was like this blurry thing. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, ma'am. And it was like a little bean, because she's like a little bean.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's what babies look like?
Aww.
She was like, yeah. She's like, you're about X amount of time. And I'm like, well, I was like, X amount of time. And I'm like, oh, I was like, that cannot be possible. She was like, yeah, why? Why are you scared? I'm like, because I've been drinking wine like crazy. She was like, oh, so you're one of those. I'm like, what do you mean one of those? She was like, that gets pregnant when they drunk. I was like, wow, that's so
yo, your doctors are brutal, man. What is going on in New York?
I found it funny. That's why I didn't take offense. I was just cracking up, and I was like, and I started crying, and she was like, did I hurt your feelings? I was like, no. She was like, why are you crying? I was like, because I miscarried before, so I didn't think I could get pregnant. So I explained to her the story with what happened with the other doctor, saying about my weight, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, girl, listen, we both would have got locked up if I would have been with you, because listen, what he said was very unprofessional to say, especially to a woman who has the history of depression and all of that. What he did was uncalled for. So I went home. I told my husband, like, babe, we're going to be parents. I still didn't get fully excited, because you never know. It's still the first trimester. Yeah. Still the scariest trimester ever. And you know, fast forward to like, what was it, babe? 7 months, 35 weeks? I think it was 35 weeks.
Yeah, pregnant. No, fast forward to the part where she played me like a fool.
Oh, we're going to start snitching. Look at this.
So basically, women don't get cravings until actually their babies really develop.
That's a lie.
So She over here.
Females, help me out in the chat.
Back and forth. 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, babe. I'm craving this. I think the baby wants this. I, like a fool, and being the first time dad, every time she says I'm hungry, I just used to run to the store, get whatever she needs, she wants, and no questions asked.
I know that's right.
Then I found out that I was getting played because until the baby is actually developed, there is no cravings.
Who told you that?
Exactly. Excuse me.
That was too.
I've seen people have them at like 1 month, 2 months. Maybe it's psychosomatic. Maybe they just because they just know they're gonna have them. I don't know. Ladies, what y'all think? What y'all think in the chat?
Maybe it's mentally,
It could be psychosomatic. It could be.
Just let me make my husband work. So
I mean, I've seen it before.
Carry the baby for 9 months.
But more importantly, I commend you because I remember that life, man. And golly, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, Taco Bell, Wendy's, McDonald's, man.
Well, no, to my defense, I didn't go that far. Okay, it was just across the street.
So it was convenient.
Yeah. But it wasn't nothing too crazy, at least. So that's a good thing. But
Sure.
if you want to be snitching on me, I'm gonna tell them how you made me cry.
Okay. All right. So I'll snitch on myself.
Good.
So
Do it.
when I buy food for her, like I tell her, babe, order whatever you want. That's it. I'll pay for it. I don't care. So this is the thing. I asked her, do you want a burger? No, I want this. All right. She got what she wanted. We get upstairs. I'm over here eating. And no, before I even got to touch my food, I see her taking a bite out of my burger. I'm like, hey, where you going?
I got you yours.
Yeah. So she literally started tearing.
Yeah, I locked myself in the room and I was crying.
She was hungry.
Are you serious?
She was hungry. She was hungry.
He hurt my feelings. Like, I went to the room with my own food and I was crying.
Oh.
And he came in the room. He's like, I know you're not crying because I told you no after you have your own meal. I'm like, but your burger was talking to me to take a bite out of it.
Oh my God. He didn't realize that you were eating for yourself and for the baby. That's what it was. It's two of you eating now. It's not just one.
I'm sure he knew, but he just didn't want to share.
Oh, Crypto Latina, that's not fair, Okay, I get it. You're the one that carried the baby for 9 months.
Like, let it go.
But there's a big but.
Stop.
No, I'm just saying, like women say a lot, oh, we carried the baby for 9 months, but I want to ask a question.
I don't want this fight, guys. Take it to him.
How long have we been carrying it on our sack?
Ew!
What? Did he just say that?
We did not need to have that on this channel. Really? Please excuse my husband. He gets a little excited with certain things.
Oh my gosh. Yo, your likes about to go through the roof now when they get to this part.
So I think it was around, hold on. Because I honestly can't remember. It's between 35 and maybe 37 weeks pregnancy. I used to pick up my niece from school. I think my middle niece, the second one. And my husband used to sleep in the daytime. So I always used to knock on the wall to be like, babe, I'm home. I made it back safe. And it was like a routine thing for me. And that one day after I was like, babe, I'm home. I already picked up your niece, blah, blah, blah. He was like, okay. As soon as I turned around, I felt a very heavy dizzy spell to the point that I went sideways. Luckily, there was a wall there. If there was no wall there, that's it. I would have just ended up on the floor. I have quick reflexes, so I caught the wall, and I was like shaking my head, like, okay, that was just weird because I never caught a dizzy spell like that. So I was like walking around the house, and then I went to go prepare a meal for my niece because she was hungry from school. So I was like, okay, I got her. Later on in the evening, because it was a Friday night, we had bingo nights here as a family. Every 2 weeks, we had bingo night here with the family, and that Friday night was a bingo night. and we're over here like preparing for the evening, like who's gonna play bingo, who's not, what the kids are gonna do in the meantime while the adults is playing bingo. And we didn't have no hot water that day, and little by little throughout the day, I'm noticing like I see like blurred things out my eyesight, and I'm like, is it me? And I'm rubbing my eyes. I'm like, I don't know if it's my eyes, but I keep saying everything little by little, like splashes of light. Like it looked weird. And all of a sudden, like 2 hours later, I lost my eyesight in my house.
Oh my gosh, what?
I did not know what was happening to me, to the point where his mom was like, oh, you're just joking. I was like, no, I can't see, and they ordered food, because we always ordered food for bingo nights. I couldn't even feed myself because I couldn't see anything. And I was like, no, I cannot see. I don't know, what am I touching? I don't know what's around me. Like, listen, it was just a crazy night.
That is wild.
Yeah. And it came to the point where like his mom was like, okay, now this is a little weird, because now she really cannot see. And she was observing me the whole time. Even my husband was observing me. And his home attendant had to shower me because, I was going to go to the doctor, being all nasty or whatever. So I felt uncomfortable because she showered me, but nobody wanted to risk me falling and getting hurt because I couldn't see anything.
Right.
So she showered me. She got me dressed. And she was like, we're going to call the ambulance so they could come and check to see what's going on with you. And the ambulance came. My mother-in-law was like, she goes to this specific doctor. That's where her medical records is at. She's pregnant, blah, blah, blah. Mind you, I couldn't see what was happening.
Yeah.
So they told me, ma'am, sit down. We got to check your blood pressure. I was like, okay. They checked my blood pressure. It was 225 over, I don't know what number. I can't remember the bottom number, but 225 is a heart attack.
Yes, yes.
All right. So they told my mother-in-law, like, ma'am, I'm sorry to say, she got 10 minutes to get to the closest hospital. When I heard that, this is what I'm telling you, I could never catch a break. When they told her that, she was like, oh, but where you guys gonna take her? All her records is at this hospital. They're like, no, she has 10 minutes. Her blood pressure is high level risk. I was like, I don't know where my things are at. I don't know where my health insurance card is at. My mother-in-law was like, forget about your damn health insurance card. Get to the hospital right away. I was like, okay. We got in the ambulance. My husband came with me because, he's the father of the kid too. So, Musa, let me tell you something. Me being blind and all, I was threatening him in the ER.
What?
No, not only threatening him, I was threatening everybody while I was on the gurney laid down when we got to the hospital.
Oh my gosh.
Right away. I was threatening everybody because they kept asking me the same dumb question. Do you see my fingers? How many fingers I'm holding up? And they kept asking me the same question nonstop, that it got me pissed off.
Oh, I understand that. Yeah. It's like you didn't get it the first time. No, I know.
Yeah. So because of that, I started getting agitated and aggravated. And I was like, I started cussing out everybody. I'm like, I don't care if you're the president, the EMT, the doctor, don't touch me, this and that. They're telling my husband, excuse me, sir, you got to calm down your wife because her blood pressure is already high and it keeps going up and up because she's already angry. I couldn't see the numbers because I'm blind. So my husband's like, babe, calm down. They're just asking you questions. I'm like, yeah, but I answered it like 50 times nonstop. Yeah. It was getting to the point like I just couldn't deal with the fact that I lost my eyesight, and then he asked me the dumb question. Boom. They're like, okay, she's not calming down. Anything my husband said was not calming me down either. It was just triggering me more to be angry. So they told him right away, we're gonna have to sedate your wife. Oh man, what was that for? They stuck me with a needle in my neck, and whatever it was, I threw up and it fell on my face, the vomit. Yeah. Whoa. So my husband, being my husband, thinks everything is funny at times. He was like, oh, look, I could take a picture of you looking like this and upload it to Facebook. When he said that, I told him, I don't care if I'm blind. I will jump off this gurney and whoop your behind.
Oh my God! What?
Yeah, it's because like
It's not
a
funny,
lot of
babe.
times I catch her, with the phone going like this and like this and like that, and I'm like,
Casa said,
babe, since you love taking so much selfies, how about I take one of you right now with throw up?
Oh my God!
Yeah.
You, sir, you.
no, like I think that triggered. It went beyond triggering to the point where at that point they told him like, no, like we really have to sedate her because I think my blood pressure kept going more than what it was supposed to.
Absolutely.
So when they stuck the second shot, I was out. So the thing, I don't know the name of the shot, but it knocked me out. When I woke up to sounds of the ICU.
Wow.
When I opened my eyes, I still couldn't see anything. All I saw was blurred or shadows. I couldn't speak. Moving forward, when I was able kind of to see clearly, I saw my husband come in. My brain was so whacked that I didn't even know that I was even pregnant. Like I forgot about the whole pregnancy because of the medication. So he came in with a balloon that said it's a girl. That's when I was like, oh, that's right. I'm pregnant with the baby. But I couldn't speak because of the medication.
Oh.
They didn't tell me what happened. Only said that the baby was in NICU. Because she was born very small. She was born at 4 pounds 5 ounces.
Oh wow! Wait, was she early or just?
She was early and underweight.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah. So moving forward, once we're both home, like 4 or 5 months later, my husband and his mom sat down with me like, we need to speak to you, and I was like, okay. I'm thinking I'm in trouble, and they're like, we need you to understand that something, there's something we've been trying to tell you, but we have to wait for, to avoid postpartum depression. I was like, okay. I sat down. They're like, so when you had the baby, remember that day you went to the emergency when you lost your eyesight? I was like, yeah, I still remember that day like it was yesterday, but I don't know what happened after that. They're like, we're going to tell you. So while you were in the room, you ended up having 2 seizures. The second seizure led for the baby's heartbeat to stop at a 0. So they had no choice but to do an emergency C-section. And they told us that after they removed the baby from you, that right now, that at that moment, they did everything they possibly can as medical doctors.
Yeah.
Because they didn't know what was going to happen to me.
Exactly. Gosh.
So they told my husband, I guess if you believe in a higher power, pray who you need to pray to. The rest is already out of our hands. We did what we can for her. I was in a induced coma. And for what my husband told me was that they basically had put enough morphine to knock down a horse.
Oh my goodness.
So they put more medication than what a horse can take. And honestly speaking, it was the best day of my life in a sense, because I was, becoming a dad, but it was the worst day of my life in a sense because I was about to lose both of them.
Understandable.
So when the doctor came to me, they first told me, oh, you're going to have to choose between your daughter and your wife. That literally
That's crazy.
Then
That's crazy.
When they finally get the baby out, they had to take it out quickly because she got a seizure. Now, mind you, she never suffered from seizure or any real health complications like that, and it was tough. So when they finally get the baby out, she's still in a coma. They told me, well, we put more medication than a horse can take. That's all we could tell you. Back then we wasn't married yet. We're just living together. So they sent me home. When I came home, I started praying to God, and I told God, I can't do this alone. I can't raise a baby on my own. I won't, I won't be able to because of my limitations and everything. And funny enough, the next day I go to the hospital and I see that she's no longer in ICU. Her bed is empty. At first, I got scared. So I thought,
Yeah, the worst.
yeah. Now, when I asked the nurse, it was like, "Oh, don't worry. She's okay. She just opened her eyes, and man, that was the happiest day.
For
Literally,
sure.
right now, like I said, my daughter is the beautiful. The oldest. She's about to be 12 in November, and God is real. That's all I gotta say.
Oh yeah, man. For sure, man. I'm proud of you guys, man. That's crazy. That is a very, very traumatic experience, man. And you two sticking it out together and when it was important, that's the greatest thing of it all, man. And baby girl is still here. That's awesome.
Yep.
That's why I wanted to share my story, because it's like I never really caught a break. If it's not one thing, it's another. But all this have taught me is that, no matter what I go through, as long as I have a purpose on this earth, I'm not alone.
That's right.
And I will always have, if not my husband, I'm always gonna have God Himself and people to back me up and help uplift me, and that's gonna help me help others, because I feel that's what my purpose is, getting the awareness out there, just like it is for you, Musa. Your lyrics, your whole being is here because you also have a purpose to touch everybody and let this awareness spread, and this is something I would like to continue. I don't know if you want to continue this with me.
I'm totally down for it. You guys got me here with that story, man. So I'm locked in.
Let's really continue bringing this awareness, because like I said, like there's nothing to be ashamed about, guys. Like, let's bring that to the forefront. There's nothing to be ashamed about regarding mental health. There's nothing to be scared of when it comes to talking about it either. We're all human beings, Musa came up here. Thank you once again for being here. He told his story. I've told mine. Anybody who watches this stream, I really hope that you can one day tell your story. You'll come to my channel, Musa, or we can all collaborate. Absolutely. And talk about it. Give each other advice. Ways to get through certain situations. If not, don't hide yourself from the world, your true self from the world, because of judgment. Because at the end of the day, good or bad, we're going to be criticized no matter what. But at the end of the day, right, people's judgment's not going to define the person you are.
Absolutely.
Let me just put that out there. And I'm sorry about taking everybody's time.
Oh, you're good.
Musa, do you have any final words?
I just want to say I'm extremely proud of both of you two, and I wholeheartedly hope and pray that you guys continue to overcome. You're doing an amazing thing right now. You may not see the fruits of it initially, but I'm telling you, the impact of it is going to be life-changing for so many. And I would encourage you to further connect with the rest of the ladies of the Vote Army as well. There's a lot of resources as well that they can provide you with, and help get this platform lifted for sure. You got my vote. I'm putting my stamp on this one. This is wild, man. And I appreciate you having me on for the first. This was an opportunity for me. I don't get to tell my story very often. I honestly don't like to, because I'm just kind of beyond it. But I think if it helps other people, I'm willing to live as a testimony for others for sure.
Oh yeah, you have a testimony that needs to be heard. It needs to be shared. And I'm happy you're my first guest of not only opening this channel, but also willingly volunteer to share your story, because it's not easy for anybody to open up that side of themselves to the public. So I congratulate you, and I thank you so much for this transparency you share with us all on the stream. I honestly appreciate you. I appreciate Absolutely. Once again, let me thank Crypto Latina. Thank you, because I know you'll be promoting him and sharing his music, which my husband got to get on there too and listen to it. Very amazing. Very amazing. I appreciate you both. Like, seriously, like I said, I didn't expect to do this ever in my life.
Oh, yeah, keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop.
Oh, I'm not going to stop.
Absolutely.
No, I want to say thank you. To everyone in general, that came here, show my wife some support. Thank you, Musa, for, being her first guest. And man, your story is truly inspiring. You know, I mean, hopefully one day I also get to share my story.
Absolutely.
And I was listening to you talk, and I was like, wow, it's crazy how similar, we are in a sense. And also, I backed away from music, but I do music myself, and just like you,
Okay.
started doing poetry. I figured, right, if I could do poetry, I could write a song, and I
Oh
pushed
yeah.
myself, and yeah. But
Let's get it. You got this.
honestly, bro, I appreciate you being here. I appreciate everyone in the chat that came and showed her love and support. So
Thank
thank
you,
you.
everyone. I really appreciate it, guys. I don't know how to share the link, so if you need his YouTube channel, let me know. I'll message you because I'm still getting the works with the whole streaming. Um, if you
Yeah,
want,
like
hit that like, share, and follow. I mean, subscribe.
I'm
Hey.
Follow,
I'm
it's up to you.
trying to help her uh put people as moderators, because at times if you stream on YouTube before, it could get wild. So
Oh yeah. We'll
yeah.
help get her. We'll help anything you guys need. Just hit me up. Any questions, or if you need, any software suggestions or anything like that, let me know, please. If you need thumbnails for your stuff, I can do that for you guys. No, don't pay me anything. I'll do it just for the strength. Straight up.
Oh wow, thank you,
Thank
bro.
you.
And likewise, man. Anything you need, whatever is of my reach, that I could do, no question asked. Okay.
Absolutely,
And
brother.
just know, man, with me, you got a friend, somebody that you could trust, because I know it's hard to go out there and find people like that. So
Indeed, man. I do wholeheartedly appreciate that as well, and that's one of the beautiful things I do love about the Volt Army. That is my family. I've adopted that into my life, and I'm good. I'm good. I'm really good, guys. So I'm just enjoying this, and like we all should be living our best lives. Tomorrow's not promised, so we got to do what we got to do for
oh,
each other.
wait. Crypto Latina, you too. You're more than welcome.
Don't be
Yeah.
proud. Don't be proud.
I apologize, and whatever you need, likewise, I'm still growing my channel and stuff, but hey, I'm always willing to help anybody and everybody. Like when I started, I know what it is, and it was tough. I mean, at times I still feel like it's a little bit tough, but you know what? I'm gonna continue doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna continue to help everyone that wants to accept my help. That's just me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Likewise.
All right, have a good one.
So
Thank
once
you guys so much.
guys, thank you so much for being here. Much love to everybody. And sorry I didn't post your comments up, but this is a very deep conversation. But for those who've been here from the beginning, listen, much love to you all, Crypto Latina, Tim Shay, everybody else.
That's a yes. Sorry. Whenever you want, just let me know. I'll be on your channel. Sonia will too.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to connect with you on the podcast, man. For sure. For sure.
But thank you guys so much. I hope to see you guys again for my next one, which I gotta probably continue mental health a little bit more, But just a heads up before I end this stream, just a heads up, it will be focused on mental health. But me being me, I don't know if you're up for it, Musa or Crypto Latina, but we might have to pull up some what's it called? Mukbang challenges on stream.
Okay.
So we're gonna work on that too. We're gonna do some little live challenges on stream. Let's see
Let's get it.
who can do what, who could eat how much of what.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
All right, guys. So I'll catch you later. Musa, I'll catch you backstage.
Absolutely.
All right.